All right. Hi, everyone. Happy Arbor Day 2021. Just a friendly reminder that we are recording this webinar. The webinar will be processed and posted on YouTube and on our social media channels later today. I wanted to just welcome everyone again. Lots of friendly faces out there in the attendee list, so thank you for coming to another Bad Elf webinar. Also, for all of the people out there that I have not met before or are unfamiliar, welcome, nice to meet you. Today we are going to be discussing Arbor Day, Bad Elf, Spike, laser management system, and the Esri Survey123 solutions. So if you have any questions during any of this presentation, please feel free to put the questions into the chat. We will be doing a live Q&A at the end of this session. We do have a special guest today. We were going to have two, but unfortunately James from Spike had a emergency. But we have Ismail from Esri, a senior product developer for the Survey123 app. So we're excited to have him here to answer some questions for us. So again, if you have any questions, needs, comments, please put them in the chat. We will absolutely get them to them at the end of the webinar. We're going to have some fun today. Hopefully we'll go about 25 minutes for the presentation, leaving us some time for Q&A, wrap up around 30 minutes. We know your time is precious. Additionally, if there are more questions or technical questions, we will be sticking around afterwards. And Ismail has agreed to stick around as well and answer any questions you may have about the Survey123 app. You'll notice that today for this webinar, we've put it together in a little bit different format. This is an Esri story map. I like to affectionately say that the Esri story map is a combination of a PowerPoint and a map. It would be sort of like their love child if they came together. We love story maps. However, it does give us a little bit of a different platform to work from. We will be sharing this link to this story map afterwards, and also the video like I mentioned, so everybody will be able to take a gander at it. So today we're going to be thinking about trees and more trees, why trees are important, why trees are awesome, why we love trees, why is it important to map trees. Really, the entire focus, like I said, is going to be on the forest. That's both national forests, or also it could be urban forests. It doesn't have to be rural or protected in parks. These could be trees in your neighborhood. So today, what we're going to start with, here's our agenda, the lowdown on Arbor Day. So we're going to talk a little bit about what Arbor Day is and where it came from. We're going to talk about what I like to call a tremendous trifecta technological solution. We're going to do a little mission planning. We're going to do implementation and execution. We're going to look at some results and observations. And I'm going to challenge everyone with a call to action. So what's the lowdown on Arbor Day? What is Arbor Day? For that matter, what is arbor? Arbor is the Latin word for tree. And so literally arbor could be replaced for tree. So the definition is Tree Day. It is a day celebrated around the world. So this is not a USA specific thing by any means. In fact, I noticed that we have some participants from around the world. I think I even saw somebody from South Africa out there. So this is a activity and an event that is shared by all of humanity around the globe. And it really focuses on the new planting of trees and their importance for our ecosystems. The first documented arbor plantation festival actually was, interestingly, they date back to 1594 to a Spanish village, Mondanito, and I apologize if I butchered that announcement or that pronunciation, but I think it's suffice to say that people have been involved in loving trees for much longer than even, say, 500 years. And you notice at the beginning we said, celebrating the home of the elves. I think people have been associating with trees for quite some time. They have been interwoven into our life as human beings on this planet since day one. You could even take a biblical approach on it, and the tree of life was obviously something Adam and Eve had to deal with. So a little bit more on the history and why it never hurts to talk about it. I wanted to bring up in the United States of America, the first kind of official Arbor Day was in Nebraska in April. So April is traditionally the last Friday of the month, around the 30th, is the traditional day for Arbor Day, so 1872. A gentleman named Sterling Morton helped plant over 1 million trees all throughout Nebraska, so that's pretty fantastic, thinking about doing that over 150 years ago. Additionally, President Theodore Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt, on April 15th, 1907, issued an Arbor Day proclamation to the school children in the United States about the importance of trees and forestry. So on a national level in the United States, as early as 1907, we started to really recognize that importance. Specifically, if you know anything about Teddy Roosevelt, he had a lot to do with the National Park Service and getting some of the most beautiful places in America protected. I jokingly say, speak softly and plant a tree. All right, so moving right along. So how are we going to go out and collect tree data? How are we going to complete an arborist survey today in today's time, right? So to go collect these trees, we need to know where they are and how they're doing before we can say go plant new ones. A really great way to do that is utilizing a Bad Elf GNSS surveyor, a spike laser from Ike GPS, and Esri Survey123. This entire solution can be as affordable as about $1,600 with no discounts and things like that. So for under $2,000, substantially under $2,000, you have an amazing high accuracy, high precision solution that you can go authoritatively collect tree data. So the positioning system comes from the Bad Elf GNSS surveyor. You get about 1 meter of spatial accuracy right out of the box, which is normally more than enough accuracy for a large canopy tree. It simply Bluetooth pairs with your phone or tablet. It's lightweight, durable. I mean, you can see it here. It looks like a little hockey puck. It is nothing large or obnoxiously big, something very easy to carry around, and it is extremely affordable. Next, we have the spike from Ike GPS. This is what that unit looks like here. This is the specific spike designed for your smartphone. They also have a spike device developed for tablets. This unique and impactful laser measurement system has the capabilities of doing point to point. It can do measurements from point to point. It can do distances and offsets and areas. It uses both a laser, which is eye safe, I believe either a class 1 or class 2 laser, eye safe, but then also the camera in your phone. You're going to see that it intelligently overlays these information onto your photo as well. It's got a really neat little clamp that's easy to use. You can connect to your phone or tablet. And again, it's extremely affordable. Last but not least, and what we could call kind of the cog in the center of this solution, the system of record, or GIS, Geographic Information System, if you will, is Esri's mobile application called Survey123. Just know that this is a form-centric field gathering app. So as opposed to, say, a map-centric like Field Maps or Collector, it's really simple to use. It has a ton of smart form capabilities, analytics. You can do custom kind of programming in these forms. I want you to also think that Survey123, don't think like positional land surveying necessarily. I want you to be thinking more along the terms of like census questionnaire, that type of questioning. Integrates very well with Bad Elf and Spike products. It is additionally very, very affordable. So mission planning. Once you've got these 3 pieces of equipment, you know you want to go collect trees because trees are cool. It's time to get ready and put your plan together, right? And so one of the things I like is an old Navy adage, and it's called prior planning prevents poor performance. If you've heard this term before, sometimes you'll know this. There's another word in this sentence, but we're not going to put that in there to be friendly for all ages. I just want you to know you need to choose between creating your survey data collection form with Survey123 with either the desktop application called ArcGIS Survey123 Connect or you can use Esri Survey123 ArcGIS Online, aka AGOL Web Designer. So right away with mission planning, you want to decide if you want the desktop version of Survey123 or you want to use the web version. The desktop version, long story short, is the desktop version is much more powerful. You can adapt things. Requires a little bit more of a learning curve, but the power is extensive. The online version is a little bit easier to jump into. It's very friendly and GUI feeling, graphical user interface, probably more traditional for people that are used to using GIS. Maybe not so much into the programming world. You can see here, this is sort of a screenshot from the ArcGIS Survey123 Connect desktop app. From the desktop app, you can create these individual surveys. These surveys then give you the ability to go into an Excel document. This is a form, and in this form, you can set up your custom app, right? So you can set up your own variables and questions, cascading options and pictures, you name it. This is where you get to make the magic. And so from the desktop side, it gives you really 100% design control of what you're going to be collecting in the field, which is really nice because then you can guide your user along a path for collecting really good tree data. You can see here that, I've loaded in a ton of different tree species. We do pick lists or drop-down list radio buttons. That way we can eliminate user error and we give the options right to the people that are doing the collection right up front. Once you've got it all set up, and it's also important to know that there is actually a graphic side of it, so you can see what it would look like represented on your phone, tablet, or screen. Then you'll want to upload this to the cloud. So then it actually goes up to ArcGIS Online. You build it on the desktop, then you send it up. Once it's published, then you can download it on your individual mobile apps. If you want to go the easier route and just kind of blast off right away, you can then say, forget the desktop app, use the Esri Survey123 Web Designer. As I mentioned, this is a very GUI feeling thing. If you're already using ArcGIS Online, AGOL, this is going to be easy. You can create a new survey by doing a blank survey, using a template survey, or like I mentioned, you can see the option on the right-hand side, Survey123 Connect. Just know that the template that was created, or the form that was created for Arbor Day today, will be shared with everybody at the with a follow-up email to this presentation. So if you wanted to download the template that we used for this specific presentation, you will be able to. Additionally, when you're doing some mission planning, I want you to make sure that your GNSS surveyor is configured and connects properly to your phone or tablet and Survey123 prior to going out in the field. Always, always, always set up everything at the office or your home first, then go out. Additionally, you'd want to do the same thing with your spike laser. Make sure that it connects through your Bluetooth with your phone or tablet. You never want to get out to site and realize things aren't working. Last but not least, make sure that your equipment is thoroughly charged. That goes for your tablet or phone. That goes for your spike. That also goes for your Bad Elf GNSS surveyor. So once you've got your form set up, you've got your equipment set up, it's actually time to go implement and execute out in the field. And so the first thing that I'm going to suggest is with the mobile applications, once you get your Bluetooth GPS from Bad Elf connected to your phone or tablet, I actually recommend opening up the Bad Elf app. So there's a iOS app that you can use to make sure that the Bad Elf is operating accordingly. You can see here that I've got the picture of the tree we're going to be collecting here momentarily, but more importantly, you have 3 phone slides here. These are just image screenshots from a phone. You can see that the Bad Elf is connected. It's calibrated. You can see the sky plot. We're tracking both GPS and GLONASS satellites, and a deviation plot kind of showing you how good the data are. From there, once I was good to go, and I knew my data and my collection devices were ready, then I actually fired up the Survey123 app on my phone. So you can download this from the App Store, the Play Store. If you have an Esri account, it is included. You can get an Esri account as affordable as $500 a year for an online account that would give you access to all of these things. All right, so again, these are panels of my phone. I want to point out immediately that you need to make sure that your Bad Elf device is set up correctly with your Survey123 app. And so you're going to need to go into the location settings found in the top right-hand corner. There's a little icon of a satellite. You're going to want to set up your new Bad Elf device. Additionally, from the second panel from the left, you have the ability to set up your antenna height. And very, very interestingly, you can have the ability to pick either if you want ellipsoidal height or grid height, or you would like orthometric height using a geoid, basically, or a height above the ellipsoid or ground height, if that is more beneficial for you. So make sure you've got it connected, you've got the height set up, you've got your altitude determined. You can then see that the Survey123 reports all the GNSS locations. You can see there everything from H. V. P. good indicators on how good your GNSS data are to your positions, lat long, etc. The last panel on the very right hand side, this is what it looks like when you want to actually go into the app or the survey. And the survey I created was called BE for Bad Elf Arbor Day 2021. And you can see there that I created it with a little icon. In the lower right hand corner of your screen, you can see the collect button. That's what you're going to want to click when you go out and collect. The very first screen that pops up in this custom app that I created from Survey123 is this tree inventory, page 1. You can see page 1 of 4, that it's the tree location. I've actually built into this app the ability for it to determine if the Bad Elf is connected or not. It will actually tell the user if it is not connected to remind you that you need to do this. Additionally, if your accuracy, and you can see the estimated accuracy is 1.8 meters, I set it that if the estimated accuracy was over 3 meters to warn the user that maybe you need to do something about your GPS accuracy. Additionally, you can see here the first drop-down box. So this is all about the location of the tree. We want to have kind of a storyboard of collecting these data, making it easy for the people. So it's all about location first. And so there's some qualitative information here on the growing location, and the tree that we're going to be collecting is in my neighbor's front yard, and it is very open and unrestricted. Next, on page 2 of the app or the form, you can see here that I picked the tree species. I was able to load in about 250 tree species natively found in the Southwest, in the Southwest desert, particularly in the Sonoran Desert. This also includes some non-natives, so not just natives. If you're wondering, I am a certified arborist, so I probably went overkill with all the tree species, but why not? You can see that I've put in the species name, but also the common name. We're collecting diameter at breast height. This is a very good metric to test the health of the tree. This is a metric required by iTree, a software created by the USDA and Davy Trees. It's free. If you've never heard of it, it's amazing. It has the ability to computate a lot of the benefits from trees, like carbon sequestration. It has the ability to look at stormwater runoff, reserve studies. But one of those metrics it is going to require is the diameter at your breast height. So that's basically the trunk size. And so you can see here that I've put in an estimated 2.5 feet. Next, it asks the tree height. So you can either do a visual estimate. If you've ever done a tree inventory, you can take kind of the height of a person if you're stepped back from a tree and estimate up using your fingers the height of the tree. Or what I would suggest is that you get a spike laser. You can connect the spike laser. Using it then opens up the Spike app. And so you can see here that the app is smart enough to say, hey, you need to connect it. What's really neat about the Spike is you can click the Bluetooth connection button on the bottom, and it's going to automatically connect. It's really intuitive. You don't even have to go into your settings for Bluetooth. Once it's connected, you get a screen that comes up. You can then do a point-to-point measurement. So I measured the bottom of the tree in point A and the top of the tree in point B, and you can see that it reported accurately 29.3 feet of tree height. On screens 3, we focus on tree condition. And so this is a cascading setup here where if the tree condition is good, you don't see the tree problems or tree problem photos or maintenance actions. If the tree condition is fair, poor, or dead, you then get the options of signifying or identifying rather what tree problems there are, you're actually able to collect tree photos of the individual problems. Interestingly enough, you can even annotate on those photos and draw attention and type in text for that issue, and then maintenance actions. Last but not least, on page 4, I then have some other qualitative kind of demographic and narrative information: who owns it, some general comments, what's the temperature here in Arizona. We really care about heat mitigation. This is one of the main benefits from trees. They mitigate heat. So this is something important to talk about. And last but not least, is this tree, does it have a story? Is there something that makes this tree personable to you? Did maybe you etch your name in a heart with somebody you were in love with as a kid, right? There is a story behind trees. And if we can convince the younger generations that trees are more than inanimate objects and that they can take pride in these trees and they're part of their lives, on top of understanding the ecological benefits of them, I think we've won. So once I put in those 4 pieces of information very quickly, I think all in all, it took me about 45 seconds to report all that information. You upload that information and send it up into the cloud, and it is there ready for you to work with back at the desktop. So I wanted to go through a couple GNSS fielding suggestions while you're implementing. So you always want to, again, make sure that your GNSS surveyor is connected to your device and the Survey123 app. If you have not built in that redundancy to tell you, or that check to tell you if the bad elf is connected or not, please reach out to us at sales@bad-elf.com, and I would love to get you the form or the code to do that. 3 things I want to make sure that you understand about the GPS. That GNSS surveyor by Bad Elf wants to be facing up, so always make sure your orientation is correct. That's the screen needs to be facing up. The other thing is, I jokingly say, slow down, Haas. Let the GPS settle. So don't just run up to the tree and run away. You know, walk up to the tree, take a couple deep, breaths, or put the device in the next to the tree. Let it sit there for a minute. GPS naturally likes to be static and not moving. That's going to ensure the best accuracy possible. Last but not least, I say meat shields are bad. Meat shields are you. You are a meat shield. You create what is called an urban canyon. You're going to be fighting with the canopy of the tree enough. Try not to fight with your body as well. Everything that blocks this from a clear sky view is going to degrade and make this signal not as good, that radio signal from space, that GPS signal. And so you want to make sure that you are giving as much clear sky as possible. A couple tips and tricks for the spike laser. All right, not there. Don't place the laser over your phone's tablet or camera. You notice in the picture, I've got the device located on the bottom of my phone. I've got one of those pop-out things on the back of my phone, which is sort of something you got to work through. Potentially, you would not want to have that on the back of a phone if you were using this professionally, because it kind of gets in the way. But additionally, you wouldn't want to put the laser in front of your camera. It ain't going to work. Next, move your finger, dummy. For the first few times I was doing this, my colleague, Larry Fox, who's out there in the webinar land, he kept telling me, dude, your finger is in the way. And I kept putting my finger on the bottom of the device. That's not going to work either because it's using a laser. Best management practice for tree height, in my opinion, is to do a point-to-point measurement. You have other options, but I suggest point-to-point. Last but not least, don't drink too much coffee. If you're shaking and moving all around, that device has a hard time getting that laser distance. And so really just try to be as steady as possible. And from the picture, I do want to make a safety shout out. Don't forget to wear proper PPE when you are in the street or outside collecting data. We want people to see you, okay? You want to be safe. All right, so let's talk. We've gone out in the field, we've collected all those tree data, and now what are we going to do with it? So it's time to look at the results and observations. So the first question I always want to tell people is, did you complete the mission? How do you know if you completed the mission successfully? The last step of the design process is always the review of the mission. If the mission was a success, awesome. If it was not, it's time to go back to the drawing board for revisions and adaptations. What's nice about Survey123 is you can go online and it provides all of the results, analytics, and observations and maps you could ever possibly want. You can see here that, now I haven't taken a bunch of records with this, but you can see how many people have used this app to collect trees. You can see the date that they were submitted on. You can also see a frequency distribution of when data were collected. These are amazing analytics provided to you for as cheap as $500 a year for an Esri online subscription. Next, you can go into the Collaborate tab, and this is a really neat thing. Notice that I've got this setting here that says open the survey and Survey123 field app directly, and I've got a QR code showing. This is a way that you can share that QR code to anybody out in the world, even if they don't have GIS. They use the QR code. It prompts them to download the app for free. They don't even need a login. They can be a guest. They can submit their tree data. So everybody is included. This is a very inclusive, equitable design. You do not need to have Esri to use Esri. Next, here are some more data analytics. You can actually go into each question and see a minutia of different information. If you've ever used a survey, like SurveyMonkey or something like that to collect information from your clients, it is a similar type of thing. You can get all the statistics, histograms, etc. based on your questions. And if you're a map guy like me, you're super nerdy and love maps, know, obviously, because it's a GIS, that all of this is intrinsically tied to a mapping system with database capabilities on the back end. So remember, all GIS data are two things. They're spatial data, that's the X, Y, and Z locale, and then the attributes behind them. And so you can see here all of the pictures and measurements, and all of that is collected in the attributes natively behind the scenes when you're using Survey123. Right, moving right along, because we're pushing on, getting close to 30 minutes here. A quick call to action. All right, everybody, why do we need to map trees? I mentioned this earlier, and I'm going to hit it home again. You know, and what I'm going to say here is this is from an abstract from an academic paper I found called A Systematic Quantitative Review of Urban Tree Benefits, Costs, and Assessment Methods Across Cities and Different Climatic Zones. It was published in Urban Forestry and Urban Greening, and you can see the authors down there at the bottom in the Bad Elf green. And I just want to read this to you, but urban trees can potentially mitigate environmental degradation accompanying rapid urbanization via a range of tree benefits and services, including but not limited to demonstrated tree benefits of economic, social, health, visual, and aesthetic benefits. One thing I think we forget a lot about is the aesthetic benefits of trees. There are a gajillion studies out there that are absolutely correlating people's health to trees. And I'm not just talking about like how trees sequester carbon and help filter the air. I mean, they make us happy inside. And when we are happy inside, the happier we are, the healthier we are. And this is a proven thing. Additionally, identified ecosystem services include carbon sequestration, air quality improvement, stormwater attenuation, and energy conservation. The benefits of trees are endless. So next time you walk by a tree, we suggest go hug it, love on it. It's a really good thing. We need them, right? Right tree, right place. I'm not saying that we need really big water guzzling trees in the desert. That's not smart, but desert adapted trees in the desert are great, and deciduous trees and deciduous forests are great. The more we can manage our forests, both urban and national and state, the better, right? And so trees benefit everybody. All right, so if you are interested in participating in Arbor Day, which today is Arbor Day, you can email us, sales@bad-elf.com, to get the survey form and code for what you saw today. We will also be hosting it online here shortly with Esri, so you'll be able to search for it from Survey123. You can go into their templates. You're going to be able to find it in there soon if you search for Bad Elf. But at the end of the day, we want to help you get started. We want to help you appreciate trees and go collect trees. And the truth is, there's no longer an excuse not to go do it. The software, the hardware, it's very affordable. And it doesn't take a whole squad of surveyors and GIS people to get going now. It's really been disseminated out into the masses. And so I would charge you and challenge you to go out and tell somebody about Arbor Day today. Go hug a tree. Go tell people out there. Announce it to the world. Get your megaphone out and say, you know, we're going to stand up for the trees in the world, because without them, we would not live on this planet. Okay, so last but not least, we're going to do a quick Q&A. We're just a few minutes over. I couldn't believe I actually kind of kept it on time, close enough. Like I said, we've got some special guests I'd like to introduce. Unfortunately, James Pardue from Ike GPS's the Spike Laser System is no longer able to come today. But James said if you had any questions, you could email us at sales@bad-elf.com, and we would certainly answer them for you. Next, I'd like to invite Ismail to speak, and I can unmute everybody. Ismail, I wanted to say thank you to him really quickly that he helped in creating some of the Survey123 form, and so I just want to give a shout out of appreciation. But Ismail, do you mind introducing yourself? Tell everybody what you do for Esri and some of the benefits that you see from Survey123.
Hi, Nick, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you. I enjoyed your presentation. I really liked it. I work in Esri as a product manager, and I support the Survey123 and Quick Capture projects. And yeah, as you said, yeah, I'm here to answer any questions that people may have on Survey.
Wonderful. Okay. Hey, Larry, I know you're out there as well, and we've been looking at questions. Let's see here. Okay, so a couple people have said and asked if we will be sharing the URL for the story map. We absolutely will. Yes. Apparently some of the imagery looks a little fuzzy. It could be because I'm on a full screen mode, but yes, we will be sharing this story map to the public after it is completed, for sure. How can one, I've got a question for you, Ismail, how can one buy Survey123 if they're not in an organization that has Esri licenses?
Well, you can buy ArcGIS online actually, right, from the Esri store. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can actually, if you Google search Survey123, you can go through their website. But Bad Elf is also a reseller of Esri products. So if you are interested in getting involved with the Esri stuff, you can reach out to us at sales@bad-elf.com. We'll certainly get you involved, or you can go right directly to them. I can tell you that the most affordable option is a $500 a year. It's their online AGOL ArcGIS online option. One tier above that, there's a $750 a year option that gives you the ability to have the ArcGIS Pro, or what I call Arc Pro, which is the newer desktop version versus ArcMap. So basically, depending on what needs you had, you could look there. I will also say, I know like in the state of Arizona State Land Department has an ELA that will give anybody access to ArcGIS Online as long as you live in Arizona. And so they're promoting, you know, free data collection through their programs. And there's lots of ways to be able to do this.
Hey, Nick, one question. I mean, from Bad Elf, you have the Surveyor, the Pro Plus, and the Flex. Is there any, can you give any advice on what unit is best for this type of work?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So we did the demonstration today on the GNSS Surveyor, a 1 meter device. This is our most prolific, most sold GIS device on the market because of its price point at $600. And if you're EDU or GSA, higher education government agency, we have a discount on top of that. It is a great device for trees. But I will say this, accuracy is addictive. Okay, and so we have our new Bad Elf Flex, which is a sub-meter device standard and can be upgraded to the extreme version, which would be survey grade. One thing to keep in mind is when you are collecting data, and this goes for any GPS out there, and at the end of the day, we just want to educate the masses. So no matter what GPS you're using, I want you to think about the size of the asset you are collecting. If you are collecting a massive redwood tree that has a diameter that's 10 feet wide, a 1 meter GPS is going to do more than enough to collect that data, because the size of it is bigger than the accuracy threshold. However, if you get into circumstances, for an example, we have customers in Canada that do environmental studies with saplings. And so they plant a lot of little trees very close to each other, and then they artificially push environmental factors onto them, and they test to see how those little saplings are affected and influenced. If you have 5 saplings within a 1 meter area, a 1 meter device will never give you the accuracy needed to collect that. And so then I suggest using something like the Bad Elf Flex, which can get down to a centimeter or less with a good RTK correction. And so at that point, you can authoritatively collect the positions of a lot of little saplings in a small area. I'll also say this: if your device has differential correction, primarily through RTK, that will help you in heavily canopied areas. Both the Bad Elf GNSS Surveyor and the Bad Elf Flex have that ability. So as a redundancy to kind of give a better opportunity for spatial accuracy, I do recommend RTK. Okay, let's see here. We've got a question. If you are using a Bad Elf Flex, what is the expected accuracy of doing offsets? Say with the spike and mobile device are mounted on a pole with the Bad Elf Flex. Is the main source of error in such a setup the spike or your device's compass? Okay, that's a great question. I think I can answer that. It's a little bit of all of that. And so it is important, no matter what technologies you're using. This could be drones, laser scanners like LiDAR scanners from Leica, or GeoSlam or whatever, or it could be offset lasers like from Spike, or say an LTI. When you have peripheral devices, so you've got a GPS and you've got this laser, the error is an aggregate of everything together. Also know that every time you transform or reproject data, you are going to get more error as well. So thinking through your projection systems is very important. But at the end of the day, I think the most error for that question would come probably from well, again, there's multiple types of error, but if you're using the spike laser for an offset with the flex, the spike will have the greater error than the flex, right? The flex is going to give you 1 centimeter, whereas I think the spike is 1/2 of a foot to a foot of accuracy. If you are using, the GNSS Surveyor, you've got a couple feet of accuracy plus, a couple, let's say about 1 foot of accuracy from the spike. So one thing to just keep note of is making sure that these devices are calibrated extremely well. That they often, you need to calibrate the compass, but you also need to calibrate the laser. So this is absolutely suggested to do often. And I also would say the right tool for the right trade, right? There are different types of lasers with higher accuracies. The spike laser is awesome because it's so easy to use and it's so affordable. If you're collecting tree data or say utility pole data, I think it's an amazing solution. But the reality is, for tree and utility pole data, you don't really need survey grade. So it's not like taking out a total station or a survey gun, right? You may want to look at a higher accuracy rangefinder, and just stay tuned. I would like to, without giving away too much information, just know that we are working with these peripheral laser rangefinder devices, and we are coming up with some really cool integrations that you're going to see become public here very soon. All right, let's see if we have any other questions out there. It's looking like there are no other questions. Larry, Ishmael, either of you gentlemen have any wise words or comments or questions to wrap us up?
I'll just chime in and say thanks for everyone attending.
Yeah, same here, Nick.
Wonderful. Well, I recommend everybody, if you haven't yet, go on to LinkedIn, look for both of our special guests out there. They're both extremely friendly. and they love to work with people that are trying to go collect good data. And I would say similarly for Bad Elf, everything you saw in here today for this story map was just for educational purposes. If you have any questions or you have any needs beyond what we answered today, please reach out. That's sales@bad-elf.com. And again, we're going to be publishing this video once it's compiled on our YouTube channel, so make sure to follow us on social media. But again, thank you to our guests. Thank you to everybody who cares about trees and geospatial technologies. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll hear from you soon. All right, cheers, everybody. Have a great Arbor Day. Thank you so much. Stay safe out there.